Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, I'm going to be showing you guys how to part out your rolls for your box braids or your knotless box braids. Same thing. And also how to do bricklay parting, which is the parting you use for box braids. So this will be a two-part video. So the first part will be the rolls. The second part will be the bricklay parting. So if you're interested, stay tuned and let's get into this video. All right guys, so as I mentioned before, this will be the parting of the rolls for medium-sized box braids. So the first thing you want to do is part the hair from the front all the way to the nape. And how you're going to get that part exactly in the middle, and you'll know it's in the middle, is you line it up with the bridge of the nose. So you always want to stand at the front of your client so you can get a better view, and stop at the middle of the head, and then you can go behind your client and finish off the parting. So once you go behind, you'll know that it's in the middle as long as you're lining it up with the spine. Or sometimes people have a little widow's peak right here. You could just know that's in the middle. It's usually always in the middle. And you can just line it up and then you can go reverse. So you know everything's all aligned. So the next thing you want to do once you have that done, my lines are not that straight guys. I'm just doing this just to show you guys so it's just a little rough. But so the next thing you want to do is part off your second section, which is going to be from the top of the ear to the nape. That's going to be one section. Let me back up a little bit. Yeah, so that's going to be one section from the top of the ear to the nape. So what you're going to want to do is drop that side. Only work with one side at a time so it's easier to manage. And as you guys can see, the top of the ear is right here. So all you're going to do is part from, since you're working with one side, part from the top of the ear all the way to the middle. So straight across. So I'm going to do that. So on the top of the ear, line up your comb like this. And oops, I'm not sure my lines will be straight, but so there. So this is your first side of the section, and then you're going to go on to the next side. So when I go on to the next side, I like to line it up with this line right here. So that way I'm working from here to there. So on this side, it will line up at the top of the ear. So just like this, line it up, put your comb right there on that part, and go straight across. Now you have one section. And in this section, I typically like to do 2 to 3 rows. And it's either 2 to 3 because sometimes people's, from the top of their ear to their nape is small that you could only fit 2 rows. And sometimes it's bigger that you could fit 3. So it all depends on the size, guys. So just use your discretion and know, because obviously it's medium size, know what can fit and obviously what cannot fit. So once you have that, we still have our 2 sections here again. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to keep breaking it up so you guys can see. So we're going to split this into 2 sections, which is pretty simple. You're literally just going to part it in half. So just part that in half. And only to the middle on one side because you're working in sections, right? My lines are so not straight, but so there you have 1 row, 2 row. You have 2 rows now. So we'll just section them off. Section them off. You can braid them so it's out of your way. I'm just using clips so it's faster. And then you're going to do the same thing to this side, and just like I mentioned before, connect the parts from the inner to the outer once you go to the next side. So it's easier and you guys can line it up. So the line is here. I'm just going to part directly straight across. Just like that. So now I have all my sections. So what you can do now is join them. So now you have 1 complete row, which is here. And then another row at the bottom. So that's 2 rows under the nape. But as I said, some people's nape is, from the top of their ear to their nape is a little bit bigger, so you can fit 3 rows. So it should look like this. Your parting for your medium braids should have 2 rows, 3 rows here. And my parting is not straight. I'm just showing you guys. So there you go. You have your 2 rows. So now you're going to go to the front of the head. And usually at the front of the head, I like to have about 5 rows. Usually it's always 5 rows. And it's the rule of 3. You always have 3 rows here. And then 2 rows at the top. So the next section you can part out, which is easier. I just eyeball it now, but if you're pre-parting, this will just help you. And if you're starting out, you want to what do you call this? The recession line of the hair, which is this, or should I say the temples, part a section going around like that. That's going to be where your 3 rows will lie. So at the temples of the head, go all the way to the middle, because remember, we're working in the 2 sides. So just part from the temples all the way around. And your parts are gonna get curved, obviously, because your head is round. So you're gonna go with the curve of the head. So just part all the way around. So it should look like this. And just clean it up if it needs to be cleaned up. So there. So now you have another 2 sections. You just made your second section, which is right here. So from the front of the ear to the nape is your first section. From the temples to the top of the ear is your second section. And then your last section will be from the center to your temples. So now you can just section this off again. And remember, your parts will get curved as your head is round. So as you guys can see, let's clean this up. It's very hard to show on a mannequin. I find it would be easier if I showed you on someone else's head. But this is your second section. So now you're going to do the next side. And as I said, I like to start from the middle so I just know where it's lined up. And then you can start from the side and bring it back. So you're gonna go around, just knowing where this line stops. Then you can go to the side of the front, start at the temples. I'm sorry, this is like so out of focus. The temples, and go around. And you know it lines up with the back. So now you have your next section. And within these sections, you're gonna have 3 rows. So you can kind of eyeball it. There's gonna be 1 row, 2 row, and then 3 here. So 1, 2, and 3. And it's the same thing. You're gonna start at the front. You're gonna start your first row out of your 3. So there you have another row right here. This is 1 row out of your 3 in this section. So we're gonna just section that off. So I like to part like everything and then move on to the next side, or you can do it one by one, but that's just how I do it. So your next part, you guys know there has to be 2 more partings. And as you see, there's this much left. So all you're gonna do is split it in half and go around just like you did the first section. So starting from the front and just bring it all the way around till you reach the middle. See? Just like that. So now we have our 3 parts. 1, 2, and then the 3rd one is clipped there. So you guys can just get that out your way. So there you have it. You got 1, 2, 3 rows in that section. I'm just gonna show you guys one side, just because I feel like it'll be easier than after I can do the next side and you guys can see. So there you have, we have our first row, our second row, and our 3rd row. So now once you get to the top of the head, which is gonna be your last couple rows, you can part this into 2. This is literally gonna be 2 rows. And this is from the center to the temple. You're just gonna part it in 2 rows. And then that's it. Super simple, guys. This is really simple. I'm telling you, if you do this parting, you'll always have perfect medium-sized box braids or knotless box braids. They'll come out perfect. So now, as I said, all the way from the center to the temple. So now you're gonna part this last section into 2. So just split it in half, literally. Now you have 2 parts. Now you can see all the parting. So we have 3 different sections. So the first section at the top is from the middle to the temples of the head. This is your first section, which only has 2 rows in it. From your temples to the top of the ear, that's your second section, which is gonna have 3 rows in it, as I showed you guys before. 1, 2, and 3. And your last row section, sorry, is going to be from the top of the ear to the nape. And on average, it's usually 2 rows back here, but if people do have this area a little bit bigger from the top to the nape, you can put 3 rows in there. But I put 2 to show you guys because on average, it's usually 2. So you literally split that into 2 sections. And that is how you have all your rows for your knotless braids. So I'm going to do the other side and clean it up so I can show you guys how it actually should look. So I went ahead and just cleaned it up and braided out each row. They're not exactly straight, but I'm going to go through the sections again and how much rows are in each section. So the first section is going to be from the top of the ear to the nape. Typically it's 2 to 3 rows. I showed you guys 2, but if this area is bigger, put 3. The second section is going to be from the temple of the head to the top of the ear, and in this section you're going to have 3 rows. Your last section is going to be from the center to the temple of the head, and in this row it's going to be 2 rows. It looks like yeah, it's going to be 2 rows. I just split this one in half so it kind of looks like 3, like 1 2 3, but it's going to be 2 rows, 1 and then 2. And this is how it should look. In this section you should have 2 rows, just like this. So in total we have 7 rows. 7 to 8 rows you'll have if you have 3 rows back here. So I'm going to go through it again. 2 from the top to the nape, 3 from the temple to the top of the ear, and then 2 rows from the middle to the temples. So you're gonna have 3 different sections like that. And this is how you pre-part for your medium box braids or knotless box braids. So this was part 1, guys. I'm going to be showing you guys part 2 on how you make these parts into bricklay parts. So take a good look. This is how it looked, just like this, and like this. So I'll see you guys in part 2. Hope this was very helpful. Let me know if you guys have any questions on this video. I always answer in the comment section, so just let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys in part 2.